Jill, thanks for letting me interview. I appreciate it. You interviewed me yesterday.
But we had a lot of fun.
When's that going to be out, that interview?
Sometime this month.
Sometime this month. So this interview will probably be out in several months. That's okay?
Okay.
Or we could probably time it at the same time. I'm not sure. We'll figure it out. But first, a quick message from our sponsor. Finding a good SEO partner that specializes in content marketing can be hard. Since 1999, Internet Marketing Ninjas has built its reputation on SEO and content marketing strategies. Internet Marketing Ninjas is run by Jim Boykin. I've known Jim for close to 20 years now. He's been a very hands-on SEO, he's a very hands-on CEO as well, and he's built a great team at the Internet Marketing Ninjas. From what I hear, their clients are very happy with them too. The Internet Marketing Ninjas could also help you with your Core Web Vitals and page experience update. They're very hands-on with that. They'll make the changes for you, not just provide the audit. So check them out at internetmarketingninjas.com. Anyway, can you tell people in that camera who you are?
Sure. I'm Jill Fecher. I'm the Chief Growth Officer here at Cypress North.
Cool. And you have an interesting history. It's funny because my watch buzzes at me to stand up all the time because I never stand up. That's the problem with working at agencies. You just never stand up. Unless you're in person, you have to walk from place to place.
Yeah.
But most people are just head down and working all day. Any event. So you spent a long time at this other company called SKM Group, changed to Farm Buffalo, I think. Can you tell us like what you did there and stuff like that?
Sure. So I started there right out of college. I actually had an internship there while I was in college. And so they hired me back right after. And it was a more traditional agency. So they got their start in direct mail. So a lot of my early experience is in selling mail to a lot of financial institutions, insurance agencies. They became more full service, but still in a traditional way. So over time, we did a lot more TV and radio, billboards, a lot of traditional media like that. So I grew up kind of on the account service side and then did a lot of new business. And I was on the agency leadership team, for the last 4 or 5 years that I was there before I came to Cypress North.
Can I ask why you left that company to join Cypress North?
Sure. Well, so I knew Matt and Greg, who own Cypress North, for a long time. We met in college, and they had actually asked for some of my advice. I had been with SKM Group and Farm for about 16 years, and I had been with them when we were a smaller company with 20 people, and then through when they grew, when I left, there was about 75. And I had seen a lot of that growth. I was a big part of that growth, not just from a new business standpoint, but from like a process and procedure standpoint. So they were at that, high teens employee count. And they said, can we talk and pick your brain about what do we do next to kind of scale and see what, how we can grow from here. And so we had lunch, and then we just were talking about the business and all of the, I had a ton of ideas of how I could help and all of these things. And it just kind of went from there, where it was an exciting new opportunity. It's very different. I didn't know a lot about digital. I didn't know how little I knew about digital till I came here,
Right.
But I knew a lot about agencies. And so I just, it just was an exciting adventure. It was a good way for me to come on board.
That's awesome. And you've been here for about a little over 2 years, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you're happy, I guess, with the decision. You're not gonna say you're not because you're on camera, but you are happy.
Yeah, I'm very happy. I get to do a lot of different things here and a lot of things that are my strengths. So I love working with all the people and making sure that, whatever they need to stay happy, what we can do from a culture standpoint or from a professional growth standpoint, I do all of that. And then I really like the new business aspect here. It's a lot of fun. So I get to do a lot of that, and it's good. I came from, like I said, it was a bigger agency, not a huge agency, but still a lot bigger. And decisions are made a lot quicker here because we're smaller, we're more nimble. And it just seems like if we have an idea, we go with it. And I love that kind of environment. We're just always moving and changing. And
Right. I was going to ask, that must have been a big difference. Also, your job description probably wasn't a job description here when you came here.
no.
So this is basically a brand new role, something that wasn't around before. And they're like, let's give. They basically felt like this was important for Cypress North to grow, but hasn't been here before. So how does that work when you go into a new company? You're like, well, we should probably do this, this, and this. And Greg might be like, okay, or he probably just says okay to everything because he's a nice guy. But
Yeah, well, it was really interesting. So when we were talking, like I said, we were just kind of catching up, and they were saying, oh, how would you do this or that? And just kind of consulting a little bit. And when it was like, well, it would make sense that you came on board. And I said, okay. And I just kind of wrote my own job description.
Right.
So I made it up a little bit and based on what I wanted to do and what I thought I could do for the agency. And then honestly, the three of us talk about everything and we make a lot of decisions together. And a lot of things that I'll say, they'll go, well, I don't know if that'll work with our clients or in digital or, things that I've done in the past. And now that I've been here 2 years, I see a lot of that. And it's, we just kind of try things and see what works and go together, but it's good.
So you mentioned like one thing about like you made your own like job description. It's fine. I'm really not into having titles in my company. We're small. We're like 20 people or so. And I just hate the concept of titles.
Mm-hmm.
So people like, you can make up your own title, whatever you want. I don't really care. And people make up their own titles if they want for their LinkedIn profile, which is something they want, I guess, if you log in there. But some people like to have titles, some people don't. And sometimes before COVID, it kind of got a little bit scary in the company. We're like, not scary, but kind of like weird and political, where people were making their own titles, like chief this and VP of that. Like somebody named themselves like the chief architect of a product we were building, like a chief architect. And like people were like, well, I'm like, you can make a better title for yourself. And it kept going like that. Then not that we published our titles anywhere. It was maybe for their email signatures and stuff like that. So it was pretty interesting. I think you guys have titles here, right?
Yeah. So we actually came up a few months ago. We developed more of a structure for our titles. So on the marketing side, everyone was just a digital marketer for a long time.
Right.
And so then there was a split between digital marketing coordinators and digital marketing managers. And so we went through and created a bunch of different levels and what those levels mean so that people have something to strive for. So like they know what the next level is. I think, in my past where I came from a more traditional agency, there were already traditional roles laid out. You have
right.
account coordinator, account executive, account supervisor, and you kind of go up the ladder. And so what we found was like people wanted to know, what is that next step for me? And like, how do I get to that next step? What can I be doing differently to get there? And so we figured out kind of a structure to make that work across all of our departments.
Right. Yeah. I guess I'm still stuck in this like thing, like we're small. You're relatively small here. Mm-hmm. We all do everything. Like it's not like, my concern about titles is like, that's not my job. Not that anybody in the company probably would say that. I feel like the titles just put you like, I'm not going to do it because it's not my title or it's not my job, and they feel resentful. Maybe they'll do it anyway, and they feel resentful that they have to do something that might be meant for a lower level thing. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I joke around in the search engine land newsletter. Every single time I write a newsletter, I do once or twice a week. You'll have our intros. All the editors put their titles formally, like I'm the senior editor, blah, blah, blah. I'll put in a new title for me every single time. So like one time I wrote SEO janitor, like I'll make a new title every single time because I think the titles, at least in that area, is kind of like ridiculous. Like who cares if I'm a senior editor or a normal editor? But I get like, where could I go in the future with the company is important.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the question is, at what point do you need to do that for a company? And I guess it depends on the company and the people.
Yeah.
There.
And I think here the culture supersedes that, where, Matt empties out the dishwasher every day. When we get lunch on Fridays, we bring in lunch every Friday. And I mean, between all of us, we're all cleaning it up and wrapping up the extra pizza slices and putting them in the kitchen. They're not, there's nobody here that's like below that or above that, I guess I should say.
Right.
And so I think having that culture, like you said, in your office is the same. It's like having that culture where there is nobody that's above anything makes sense. When I was joining on a Friday night at like 8:30 p.m., Greg texted me and he said, here's a picture of your desk. I just built it in the office. Like he was literally like building a desk for me in the office that I was going to be joining in a week or two. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're spending your Friday night doing that? And he's like, well, yeah, I had to put together a desk for you. Right. But that's really our culture. Like nobody's above anything to like pitch in and help. And nobody's going to do it if you don't do it.
I mean, I think Greg did a lot of this setup here. I set up all the security cameras in the office, which no need for anymore because nobody's there, but it's interesting. Anyway, let's go into a little bit about the topics that you wanted to discuss. So one is podcasting. I don't know anything about podcasting.